This is part 5. Or is it part 6? Or 8? Or 12? Or part infinity? How many times have we made this video? I don't know, but we're gonna keep on doing it because every few weeks we have ourselves some new audio segments, new articles, new things said by people in the media that are prominent in the hockey world that just kind of bring it up again. And because it's brought up again, I gotta go out there and do the same thing and bring it up again. So today, we're revisiting the Pierre-Luc Dubois conversation in regards to his future as a member of the Winnipeg Jets and whether or not his talents will eventually land with the Montreal Canadiens sometime in the next few months. PLD, just in case you've been living under a rock, is a 24-year-old forward in the NHL, 6'3", 218, signed to the end of this season, making $6 million a year. He is an RFA upon expiry, but there have been so many rumors about this guy potentially not wanting to stick around in Winnipeg long-term, rumors about him wanting to go back home because, I mean, his name is Pierre-Luc Dubois. He's from Quebec. And there have been so many controversies about this guy in the past, from him pretty much abandoning, or not abandoning, but giving up on his QMJHL team demanding a trade over there, giving up on the Blue Jackets demanding a trade over there, and now playing for the Jets, and having a whole bunch of rumors surrounding his future pop up once more, even though he is still a pretty capable hockey player for this team. 55 points, 61 games played this season, on pace for about 68 points in 75 total games. But the reason we're talking about Dubois once more is because of what the Jeff Marek Show had to say about it. Link is going to be in the description to two things. Firstly, it's going to be the March 9th edition of the Jeff Marek Show, wherein Friedman and Marek talk about Dubois and a whole bunch of stuff regarding the Winnipeg Jets. And also, I'll leave a link in the description to Spectre's Hockey from yesterday, March 14th. Because what Lyle Richardson does is he pretty much transcribes what it is that is said by the folks on the Jeff Marek Show regarding Dubois. It makes it easier for me. I can screenshot it, put it on the screen, and we can read along. And it kind of steers the direction of the conversation in a more, let's just say, linear and easy-to-follow manner. So, this is what Spectre's Hockey goes out there and talks about. More chatter linking PLD to the Habs. During the March 9 episode of the Jeff Marek Show, the host and Elliotte Friedman were discussing what it might mean for the Jets if they missed the playoffs this season. Friedman mentioned he believed the Jets in Montreal occasionally talked about Dubois during this season. The 24-year-old center remains with the Jets, but Friedman speculates that was something that could be discussed during the offseason. Right now, the Winnipeg Jets are currently in a playoff spot. If you look at the wildcard division standings right now, I mean, the Jets are right there. They are in the last wild card spot. They're barely hanging on with 79 points in 68 games played. They've got a higher winning percentage than all the other teams that are out of the playoffs right now. So Nashville, Calgary, St. Louis, and goodness forbid, Vancouver is in there. But either way, the Jets are at the very tail end of the playoffs. They're barely in it, but they're still well in it. It's kind of weird to talk about it like that, but they're in it. This is the hypothetical thrown out there. If the Jets miss the playoffs, and what in the world is going to happen with Dubois? We had the video a few weeks ago talking about what Nick Kypreos said on Tim and Friends, indicating how the Winnipeg Jets' success this season is really the only barrier that has been put up in regards to PLD being a trade piece this season, just in general. Nick went out there on Tim McAuliffe's show and said that pretty much because Winnipeg is good, PLD is not in the trade conversations. But if the Jets weren't good, you'd probably be hearing Dubois' name thrown out there in the same capacity as a guy like Bo Horvat, for example. Every team was talking about Bo Horvat. And if the Jets were bad this season, you probably would have seen every team talking about Winnipeg and PLD in the same way. Now, this is what Spectre's note goes out there and says in regards to the PLD conversation on Spectre's Hockey. It kind of expands a little bit more. I wanted to read this here for you. Dubois' agent raised eyebrows last offseason when he mentioned that his client might one day be interested in joining the Habs. The center downplayed those remarks during the press conference announcing his new one-year $6 million contract, claiming he never sought a trade to Montreal or anywhere else. Now, pause before we continue. That was actually the rumor we had seen earlier last season. During the draft in 2022's Montreal-held selection, there were rumors that Dubois was there because he wanted to get traded to Montreal on that day and wave to the fans, but, I mean, Dubois himself said in the media, what do you mean? Like, I live in Quebec, I'm gonna go to the draft, like, there's no malicious intent there towards the Winnipeg Jets when I'm suiting up for a draft in Montreal because it's just in my backyard. I can go out there and watch it live. But either way, the rumor was that he wanted to get the trade done and wave and do all that crazy stuff on the day. Oh, press conference. Oh, first overall pick. Oh, it's in Montreal. And PLD is here too. I know we've kind of harped that, or what is the phrase? We've tooted that horn a little bit too much. Honked the horn? I don't know. We've talked about that a lot over the past few months because it still just kind of blows my mind that that was even a talking point. This is the expanded thoughts. Nevertheless, though, questions about Dubois' future in Winnipeg have never really gone away. Like Timo Meier, he is a restricted free agent who is a year away from UFA eligibility this summer. The Jets would love to sign Dubois to a long-term extension, especially with Scheifele and Wheeler slated for UFA eligibility next summer. If Dubois prefers a one-year deal taking him to UFA status, GM Kevin Cheveldayoff could have no choice but to trade him this summer. Whether Dubois winds up with the rebuilding Canadiens remains to be seen. They've got the draft capital with the Panthers' first-round pick, plus considerable depth and promising youngsters on their roster and within their systems to make a competitive pitch to the Jets. The Habs will have around $10.5 million in projected cap space for 23-24, with 17 roster players under contract. However, they'll also get $10.5 million in wiggle room if necessary should Carey Price remain on the LTIR as expected. They could afford to have a new contract for Dubois and still have enough to re-sign Cole Caulfield to a lucrative new deal too. Whether the rebuilding Canadiens are interested in trading for Dubois remains to be seen. Assuming they're interested in him, they could wait until next summer when he becomes a UFA instead of parting with draft picks and players to get him this summer. And that sort of is the old Claude Giroux treatment here now, isn't it? The Ottawa Senators had no reason to go out there and make any pitch to the Flyers to maybe get Giroux as a trade option or whatever, firstly because the Sens were pretty bad last year, and Giroux was going to get really waved to a contender. He wanted to be in the playoffs, so there was no real fit there, but everybody kind of knew. When the offseason came around, when the Florida Panthers did not re-sign Giroux, that guy was going to be a Senator. Everybody knew. And with Dubois and this situation, it feels like that is ultimately what is going to be the case. And we've had so many conversations about it the past few months that it kind of grinds my gears, and we're going to have to talk about this more over the span of the next year, because he's going to get re-signed to a one-year deal. He's going to take himself to UFA status because he doesn't want to stay long-term in Winnipeg. And then in 2023-2024's offseason, he's going to sign with the Habs, right? That's what's going to happen. We all know it's going to happen like that, and if it doesn't, then hey, I'm going to make a video talking about how I was wrong about the entire thing, but based off of all the speculation, all the insiders talking the talk and walking the walk, it really does feel like Dubois is inevitably going to become a Hab. Third overall picks in Montreal, eh? Drouin, Kotkaniemi, Dubois, Doc. It's kind of funny how it always works out like that, isn't it? But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Pierre-Luc Dubois and this entire conversation regarding his future as a Canadian. Do you believe it's going to happen? Do you not? Do you think this video is kind of ludicrous? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section. I hope you enjoyed this video. Juraj 99, and bye.